the austerity measures imposed in the wake of the debt crisis.
France's far-right National Front Party attracted 1 in 4 votes. Party leader Marine Le Pen said the French people no longer want to be ruled from the outside.
Our objective with our delegates is to block all damaging European resolutions. That means to defend in all circumstances the interest of France and the French people.
Supporters claim the virulent anti-immigrant rhetoric of the National Front's early years has moderated, but there was shock among immigrant communities in Paris. Mohad Said Elouache came to France 5 years ago.
The far right is a danger. The far right does not change. They remain the far right.
Parties like the National Front combine fears over immigration with concerns over the economy, says Andrea Mamone, an expert on far-right politics in Europe at Royal Holloway University in London.
The economic situation is part of this problem because reduction of the job market, so more people competing for this, reduction of the welfare, so finding people responsible also for this, so immigrants, competitors.
The result will be felt beyond France, says analyst Yanis A. Amanuelidis of the European Policy Centre in Brussels.
Having a weak France is no good news if you want to do EU policy making.
The National Front's 24 lawmakers in Brussels will find many new friends. In Britain, the anti-EU UK Independence Party topped the vote and now holds a third of Britain's 73 seats in the European Parliament. Party leader Nigel Farage vowed to repeat the success in national elections and force a referendum on Britain's EU membership.
Any of you think you've seen the high watermark of UKIP? You ain't seen nothing yet. Thank you.
In Greece, where EU-imposed austerity measures have been felt hardest, the left-wing anti-EU party Syriza topped the poll. There has been a rejection of mainstream political parties in many European countries, says Andrea Mamone of Royal Holloway University.
People have started complaining, saying, why? What's the point that a German politician is telling us to do this and that? Where is the democratic legitimacy of all this?
In Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel's Christian Democrats topped the poll. She called the rise of anti-EU parties across Europe remarkable and regrettable.
Now it is up to us to win back voters here and also in France. The best way is to focus on improving competitiveness, on growth and creating jobs.
Italians also bucked the trend, giving an emphatic win to the centre-left pro-EU Democratic Party of President Matteo Renzi. Italy takes over the rotating EU presidency in July, and Mr. Renzi has pledged to focus on jobs and growth in place of austerity. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, a survivor of some of the worst horrors of Rwanda's genocide tells VOA. Stay with us.
I think that Straight Talk Africa is important to the viewers precisely because they see it like a mirror. They see themselves in the discussions that are carried out on Straight Talk Africa.
Tune in to Straight Talk Africa each week on TV, radio and internet. Join in the discussion of the issues affecting you.
Now, renowned American poet, author, and rights activist Maya Angelou has died at the age of 86. Angelou provided eloquent commentary on race, gender, and living life to its fullest in poems and memoirs. Among her many honors was the Medal of Freedom in 2011. Angelou rose from poverty as a child and became a cultural icon. She gained widespread acclaim for her first book, her autobiography, I Know What the Caged Bird Sings, making her one of the first African-American women to write a bestseller. In 1993, former President Bill Clinton asked Angelo to write a poem for his inauguration. She wrote more than 30 books and was a Grammy winner for 3 spoken word albums. The poem spoke of hope and reconciliation. No cause of death has been announced. Now, it has been over 20 years since the Rwandan genocide that killed close to 1 million people. While the world moves on, for those who were personally touched by the most horrendous event in recent history, it is just like yesterday. Console Nishimwe was 14 in 1994. Her father and 3 male siblings were murdered. In a recent conversation, Ms. Nishimwe shared our story of survival, healing, and hope.
We were 5 of us. I was the oldest. I was 14 years old in 1994, and my sister, and the youngest was almost 18 months old.
Did you get a sense of any tension around the country, any of the ongoings politically, the rebel activities, the government crackdown on opposition or anything? Did you get a sense of that?
I was, targeted. I was a Tutsi, so because of at school, I was bullied at school, with my classmate actually, who was calling me a Tutsi and cockroach. So at that time, that's when I realized how big it was. And then around me, I was seeing what was happening in the country, hearing that, on the radio myself. When my parents were listening to the radio, I was listening as well.
So you would say the conversations about this imminent genocide, you started hearing it way before? Yes. I started hearing it way before. But of course, even though I was hearing very much, I was young, I was having a normal, going back to my normal life like any other young kid. But at the same time, I could feel it. I could hear it around me. And later on, when my parents, actually my mom, told me how she was mistreated, that's when I understood much better. When this started, the actual genocide started, do you remember where you were? Yes, I remember. I was with my both parents and my siblings. We were actually in this small community. Actually, at that time when it started in Kigali, in our town, the people thought they could protect us. So we went to a small community, a Muslim community. That's where we stayed, so waiting and thinking that things would get better. But that was not the case. Were there many other Tutsis in that town? Yes, there were so many, because where we were actually was not far from the communal office. So there were so many Tutsis coming from the areas where their homes were being burned down. So they were coming, gathering around, thinking that they would seek refuge around there. But that was not a very easy thing for them, because they wanted to have them around so they can kill them afterwards, yeah. What really started happening when you got to a point where you knew now our lives are just about to change so drastically? When I knew that our lives were going to change drastically, that's when actually we went to hiding. In that area, they told us, well, on the radio everywhere, they said Tutsis will be killed, so you have to go into hiding. So that's when finding ourselves in the bushes, and when the killers were around with machetes and screaming, exterminate them and hiding there, that's when I realized this is going to be something very bad for us. Now, you used to be with other people, neighbors or people you knew where you lived who were not Tutsi like you. Did something change about them? It was very hard for me to watch how people have changed. It suddenly changed, because these are the people that we shared everything and, coming to our homes and shared meals. But suddenly, most of them changed, really changed. When I remember many times when we went to hiding to them, so to ask refuge for them. So these are the people who called killers for us. And a lot of times, it was very hard for me to see someone who used to come home all of a sudden changing, and when you go there to ask for help, and then instead of helping you, they are calling killers for you. So, and they have done so many bad things for us when we even were hiding. And so these are the people who were coming to us when we're hiding there with machetes, and it was very hard. It was very hard to watch, yeah. Well, tomorrow we will bring you part 2 of my interview with Consuela Nishimwe, a Rwandan genocide.